So let's talk about a coin. But not just any coin. This one tells a story about power, history, and a woman who shaped a nation of 1 billion people. Her name was Indira Gandhi. If you don't know who she is, think of her as one of the most powerful figures of the 20th century. She was the first, and to this day, the only female Prime Minister of India. That's a huge deal. She led the world's largest democracy for over 15 years in total, navigating it through wars, political storms, and major social changes. It's safe to say she left a mark that is impossible to ignore, even today. Her time in power was anything but quiet. She was a political force, a daughter of India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, and she was groomed for leadership from a young age. When she finally took the top job, she led with a firm hand. Some called her brilliant and decisive, a true champion for her country on the world stage. Others criticized her for being authoritarian, especially during a controversial period known as the emergency. But love her or criticize her, nobody could deny her influence. She was a global icon, a woman who stood shoulder to shoulder with other world leaders when that was an incredibly rare sight to see. The story of this coin, however, begins with a tragedy. On October 31st, 1984, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her own bodyguards. The event sent shockwaves not just across India, but around the entire world. It was a violent end to a life lived constantly in the public eye, a life dedicated to the turbulent politics of her nation. The assassination plunged India into a period of deep mourning and uncertainty. The country had lost its leader in the most brutal way imaginable, and people were left grappling with the sudden void she left behind. It was a moment that defined a generation. This tragic event created a need for the nation to remember and honor her. How do you memorialize someone so significant? Someone whose legacy was so complex and far-reaching? Monuments and statues were one thing, but the Indian government wanted to do something that could reach everyone, from the bustling cities to the smallest villages. They wanted to put her memory directly into the hands of the people she had led. And what better way to do that than with something people use every single day? That's right, they decided to mint a coin. This decision wasn't just about remembrance. It was a powerful statement. In the aftermath of the assassination, the plan was set in motion. In 1985, exactly 1 year after her death, the government of India, along with the Reserve Bank of India, officially announced the release of a new series of commemorative coins. This wasn't a new idea for India. The country had a tradition of honoring its most important leaders this way. The very first commemorative coin series was for her father, Jawaharlal Nehru, back in 1964. So, in a way, it was a fitting tribute, following a path her own family had started. It was India's way of saying, "We will not forget." The creation of the coin was a deliberate act of national commemoration. The timing was crucial. Releasing it on the first anniversary of her death was a symbolic gesture, turning a day of sorrow into a day of remembrance and tribute. It was a way to channel the nation's collective grief into something tangible and lasting. The government understood that this coin would be more than just currency. It would be a piece of history, a memento of a pivotal and often painful chapter in India's story. It was a way for the nation to process its loss and begin to look forward while holding on to the past. The coins were produced by the official Indian government mint, which has facilities in cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, and Hyderabad. They didn't just make a handful either. They minted them in two main forms. First, there were the coins made for mass circulation. These were the ones you could actually get as change when you bought something. They were meant to be used, seen, and touched by millions of Indians in their daily lives. This ensured that Indira Gandhi's image would be a familiar sight across the entire country, reaching every corner of society. It democratized her memory. But they also created special versions for people who love collecting things, the numismatists. These were the collector's editions, known as proof sets and uncirculated sets. These coins were minted with extra care, had a shinier finish, and were packaged in special cases to preserve their quality. They were never meant to be spent. Instead, they were designed as pristine keepsakes, perfect for display. This dual approach was smart. It made the tribute accessible to everyone, while also creating a valuable artifact for historians and collectors who wanted a perfect piece of this history. Now, let's get into the details of the coin itself. What did it actually look like? The design was simple, respectful, and clear. On the front, or the obverse, was a portrait of Indira Gandhi. It was a left-facing profile, capturing her familiar hairstyle and determined expression. Around the portrait, her name was inscribed in 2 languages. Indira Gandhi in English on the right side, and Indira Gandhi in Hindi on the left. This bilingual text is standard for Indian currency, reflecting the country's linguistic diversity. Below her portrait, the years of her life, 1917 to 1984, were written, marking her birth and her death. On the back, or the reverse, the coin featured the classic symbols of Indian currency. The centerpiece was the Ashoka lion capital, a powerful national emblem of India, which represents courage, confidence, and wisdom. Below the lions, the denomination was clearly stated. For example, 5 for the 5 rupee coin, along with the word rupees, written in both English and Hindi. The year the coin was minted, 1985, was also displayed prominently. The most common coins for circulation were the 5 rupee and 50 paise denominations, and they were typically made from a durable cupro-nickel alloy, designed to withstand daily use. But here is the most important part of the story. The 1985 Indira Gandhi coin was a groundbreaking moment for India. It was the very first time a woman's portrait had ever appeared on a widely circulated Indian coin. Think about that. In a country with a long and rich history, no woman had been given this honor before. It broke with a centuries-old patriarchal tradition where currency almost exclusively featured male rulers, symbols, or animals. This coin single-handedly changed that narrative. It was a powerful symbol of women's empowerment, showing a woman as the face of the nation. This move also put India ahead of many other countries. At a time when most of the world's currency was dominated by men, India made a progressive statement. To give you some perspective, it wasn't until decades later, in 2016, that the United States announced plans to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. So, in 1985, India was actually a trendsetter. Putting Indira Gandhi on a coin wasn't just a tribute to one person. It was a nod to the contributions of all Indian women and a sign of a modernizing nation. It was a small metal disc that carried a very big message. Fast forward to today, 2026. This coin is no longer just pocket change. It has become a highly sought-after collector's item, not just in India but all over the world. For numismatists, it represents a unique piece of political and social history. Its value depends heavily on its condition. A regular circulated coin that has been passed around might sell for around 100 rupees in India, which is just over $1. But an uncirculated coin, one that looks brand new, can be worth much more. And the special proof sets? Those can fetch anywhere from 1,000 rupees to much higher, especially if they are professionally graded. The coin's appeal has even reached America. On international auction websites, you can find collectors paying anywhere from $5 to $20 for a standard coin. The high-quality proof sets can go for $50 or even more. The 40th anniversary of her assassination in 2024 saw a renewed spike in interest, and prices went up as more people sought to own this piece of history. It's a tangible link to a major world event. For people in America, it's not just about collecting foreign currency. It's about holding the story of the world's largest democracy and one of its most formidable leaders right in their hand. So why does this particular coin continue to fascinate people so much? It's because it's a crossroads of so many powerful themes. It represents the legacy of a towering political figure, a story of national tragedy and resilience, and a milestone for women's representation. Indira Gandhi was a household name globally, and this coin serves as a physical reminder of her era. An era of Cold War politics, a changing India, and a woman who held immense power on the world stage. It's a history lesson you can carry in your pocket, a conversation starter that connects to so many bigger ideas. Ultimately, the 1985 Indira Gandhi coin is more than just money. It is a symbol. It symbolizes a nation's love for a fallen leader. It symbolizes a crack in the glass ceiling of a traditionally male-dominated world. And for collectors in America and elsewhere, it's an accessible artifact from a pivotal moment in modern history. It tells a story of strength, controversy, and progress, all captured on a small piece of metal. It reminds us that even the smallest objects can carry the weight of a giant legacy, and that's a story that will always be worth something.